Welcome everyone. Today we are unpacking the mechanics of retail destruction through two historic corporate failures, Sears in the United States and Future Group in India. While separated by geography and decades of history, both retail empires share an identical DNA of collapse. They were crushed by a lethal combination of massive debt and a total failure to adapt to the e-commerce revolution. This is the definitive study of the retail apocalypse. Our objective is to look strictly at the operational and financial mechanics behind the headlines. We will analyze how Sears and Future Group built multi-billion-dollar empires, how their capital structures doomed them when foot traffic declined, and the exact financial metrics you can use to identify distressed retail assets today. To understand these crises, we must understand retail economics. Retailers operate on razor-thin margins. Their lifeblood is inventory turnover, how fast they can buy a product and sell it. They rely heavily on vendor credit, essentially using suppliers' money to stock their shelves. If sales slow down and debt rises, suppliers panic, stop shipping goods, and the death spiral begins. For decades, Sears was the Amazon of its day. Their mail-order catalog changed how America shopped. By the late 20th century, they anchored almost every major mall in the country and owned proprietary brands like Craftsman and Kenmore that consumers trusted implicitly. They had the real estate, the supply chain, and the brand equity. Yet they lost it all. In India, Kishore Biyani's Future Group played a similarly pioneering role. Big Bazaar introduced the hypermarket experience to the Indian middle class, offering everything from groceries to fashion under one roof. Driven by a vision to dominate Indian consumption, Future Group aggressively expanded to over 1,500 stores, creating an intricate web of subsidiaries covering supply chain, fashion, and consumer goods. The environment shifted rapidly beneath their feet. In the US, the rise of Amazon and the decline of mall foot traffic fundamentally changed the game. In India, the 4G data revolution fueled by Jio in 2016 brought hundreds of millions of consumers online overnight, allowing Amazon and Flipkart to bypass physical stores and deliver directly to the consumer's doorstep. While Amazon and Flipkart were building centralized, highly efficient fulfillment centers, Sears and Future Group were stuck managing massive, expensive physical footprints. Brick-and-mortar stores have incredibly high fixed costs: rent, electricity, staff. When revenues drop, those fixed costs don't. That operating leverage suddenly works against you, burning through cash reserves at terrifying speeds. The death of Sears was accelerated by financial engineering. When hedge fund manager Lampert took over, he didn't invest in the customer experience. Instead, he stripped the assets. He sold off Sears' most valuable real estate to a separate trust that he also controlled, and then forced the struggling Sears stores to pay rent to it. He starved the retail operations of basic maintenance cash to engineer short-term financial gains. Future Group's poison was unchecked debt. To maintain market dominance against deep-pocketed competitors like Reliance, Biyani embarked on an aggressive, debt-fueled expansion and acquisition spree. He bought up struggling regional chains and opened hundreds of new stores. To fund this, he pledged his own equity as collateral for high-interest loans. It was a classic case of borrowing short to build long-term, illiquid physical assets. For any retailer, calculate the inventory turnover ratio. This formula tells you how many times a company sells and replaces its inventory over a year. As foot traffic fell at Sears and Big Bazaar, their turnover plummeted. Cash became trapped in unsold clothes, electronics, and goods. To get rid of it, they had to offer massive discounts, destroying their profit margins entirely. Both companies drastically underestimated the internet. Sears had the ultimate head start. Their legacy catalog business was the original blueprint for e-commerce. Yet they treated their website as a side project. Future Group launched online initiatives, but they were disjointed and lacked the unified, seamless supply chain efficiency that Flipkart and Amazon possessed. They played digital catch-up and lost. When debt payments come due and operations aren't generating cash, you have to sell the furniture to pay the mortgage. Sears sold off Craftsman, one of the most trusted tool brands in the world, just to keep the lights on. Future Group had to dilute its stakes in its highly profitable supply chain and financial service arms. By selling their crown jewels, they destroyed the very reasons customers stayed loyal to them. This is the true trigger of a retail collapse. Retailers rely on 60 to 90 days of credit from their suppliers. But when suppliers see the retailers struggling with debt, they panic. They demand upfront cash for inventory. A heavily indebted retailer doesn't have that cash. The result? Suppliers stop shipping. The shelves go bare. And a customer who walks into an empty store never comes back. Let's examine the raw data. By 2017, Sears was drowning in over $5.5 billion of debt while bleeding cash from its daily operations. Future Group had accumulated nearly 13,000 crore rupees in debt by 2020. Neither entity generated enough cash from selling goods to even cover the interest on their loans, making them entirely dependent on refinancing and asset sales. For investors, the ultimate takeaway from this module is to analyze the current ratio. If a retailer's short-term assets, mostly cash and inventory, cannot cover its short-term debts and supplier invoices, it is technically insolvent. When this ratio drops below 1, the retailer is on life support, entirely dependent on the mercy of its lenders and suppliers. Every structural crisis has an immediate trigger. For Sears, it was the mainstreaming of Amazon Prime. When consumers realized they could get almost anything delivered in 2 days, the effort of driving to a Sears anchor store became obsolete. For Future Group, the trigger was the COVID-19 lockdown. Revenue went to literal zero overnight, but the interest on their 13,000 crore debt did not pause. Physical retail is a game of high fixed costs. Even if you sell nothing, you must pay rent, security, and electricity for millions of square feet of space. When foot traffic vanished, both Sears and Big Bazaar began defaulting on their leases. Landlords issued eviction notices, triggering chaotic, involuntary store closures across their networks. In India, the collapse was accelerated by a vicious corporate chess match. Desperate for cash in 2019, Biyani took an investment from Amazon, which included a non-compete clause. When the pandemic hit, Biyani tried to sell his retail assets to Mukesh Ambani's Reliance Retail to avoid bankruptcy. Amazon immediately filed legal injunctions in Singapore to block the sale, trapping Future Group in a lethal legal limbo as its debt spiraled. For Sears, the music finally stopped in October 2018. Facing a $134 million debt repayment with virtually no cash in the bank, the 125-year-old company filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. The goal was to shed its massive debt and toxic leases to try and save a tiny fraction of its most profitable stores, ending an era of American retail dominance. While Amazon and Future Group fought in the courts, Reliance executed a masterstroke of corporate strategy. Because Future Group couldn't pay its rent, Reliance quietly approached the landlords, paid the back rent, and took over the leases of the prime Big Bazaar locations. They evicted Future Group and rebranded the stores as Smart Bazaar, effectively acquiring the retail footprint without taking on Biyani's massive corporate debt. The real victims of these retail apocalypses are the employees. Tens of thousands of floor workers, supply chain drivers, and store managers lost their jobs. At Future Group, salaries were delayed for months. At Sears, it was even more egregious. Executives approved millions in retention bonuses for themselves right before filing for bankruptcy, while rank-and-file employees received minimal severance. Look at the bond markets. Long before the official bankruptcies, the bond yields for both companies skyrocketed. This indicated that institutional investors knew the companies were fundamentally insolvent. Once your credit rating drops to junk status, you are locked out of normal refinancing. You can only secure capital at loan shark rates, which guarantees your eventual demise. The bankruptcy process for Sears was brutal and heavily criticized. Hundreds of stores were liquidated. In the end, Eddie Lampert, the very hedge fund manager who engineered the company's financial structure, bought the remaining assets out of bankruptcy through a new company. Today, Sears exists as a ghost, with only a tiny handful of stores remaining. In India, with the Reliance deal dead and the Prime stores gone, the Indian banking consortium had no choice. The Bank of India dragged Future Retail into the insolvency courts, NCLT, but there was virtually nothing left to sell. The enterprise value had evaporated, meaning the banks were forced to take massive haircuts, losing thousands of crores of public money. This slide shows the total destruction of shareholder wealth. Common equity holders were completely wiped out in both cases. A critical lesson here is avoiding the value trap. Many retail investors tried to quote, buy the dip as these stocks collapsed, assuming brands so famous could never go to zero. They were wrong. Equity in a bankrupt company is worthless. Retail is ruthless. The market share lost by Sears and Big Bazaar didn't disappear. It was immediately absorbed by their competitors. In the US, Walmart and Target survived by heavily investing in their omnichannel capabilities. In India, D-Mart thrived using a strict, zero-debt, owned real estate model, while Reliance Retail leveraged its massive capital backing to absorb Future Group's market share. The modern victors of retail don't rely on gut instinct. They rely on data. Today's retail giants utilize predictive analytics and real-time inventory tracking. They know what a customer wants before the customer does, ensuring that capital is never trapped in stale inventory. Sears and Future Group failed to upgrade their technological nervous systems. The long-term consequence of these collapses is the death of the generic department store. If a store just sells average goods at average prices, Amazon will kill it. Today, physical retail must justify its existence. It must either offer extreme value, like D-Mart, or a highly curated, experiential shopping environment that cannot be replicated on a smartphone. Regulators learned hard lessons from these events. In the US, there is now intense scrutiny on private equity firms that buy retailers just to strip their real estate assets. In India, the prolonged saga of Future Group has led to calls for tightening the insolvency and bankruptcy code to ensure faster resolutions before the enterprise value drops to zero. Our first major lesson is simple. Debt kills agility. When a massive industry disruption occurs, like the rise of e-commerce, a debt-free company can pivot, invest in new tech, and adapt. A highly leveraged company cannot, because every spare dollar goes to paying interest. Always calculate the interest coverage ratio. If a retailer is barely making enough to pay its interest, avoid it completely. Omnichannel is no longer a buzzword. It is a survival requirement. Consumers expect to buy an item on their phone and return it in the store effortlessly. Successful modern retailers, like Target, use their physical stores as mini warehouses, fulfilling online orders directly from the back room to cut down on shipping costs. Sears and Big Bazaar kept their physical and digital worlds separated, which was fatal. Never be fooled by top-line revenue growth if the underlying working capital is broken. Opening new stores will always temporarily boost revenue, but if those stores are unprofitable, it accelerates the cash burn. Watch how fast inventory moves and how quickly suppliers are paid. If inventory is rotting and suppliers are waiting months for checks, the retailer is dying. When evaluating retail, scrutinize the return on capital employed. Retailers require massive capital for store fit-outs and inventory. If the operational profit, EBIT, generated by those massive physical assets is lower than the cost of the capital used to build them, the business is destroying value. In the modern era, asset-light models generally survive shocks far better than asset-heavy ones. Corporate failures are driven by human psychology as much as bad math. Leaders at Sears and Future Group suffered from profound hubris. Because they dominated the physical world for decades, they assumed their customers would never abandon them for digital alternatives. They fell victim to the sunk cost fallacy, pouring good money after bad into physical stores rather than admitting the world had changed. To wrap up, the collapses of Sears and Future Group show that no brand is too big to fail if it ignores the consumer. Legacy footprint means nothing against digital efficiency. By focusing on high inventory turnover, integrated omnichannel technology, and strict debt limits, businesses can survive the retail apocalypse. For investors, follow the cash flow, not the brand nostalgia. Thank you for your time.